The Author's Shelf.
The Author's Shelf.
The Author's Shelf. The Author's Shelf. It's about books and stuff.
Good afternoon, I'm Georgie Donahue and welcome to The Author's Shelf. Today I'll be chatting with children's author and rhyme expert Jackie Hosking. Jackie has celebrated her first picture book, The Crock and the Platypus, being published with Walker Books. I'll introduce you to Jackie shortly. I wanted to say a big congratulations to my dear friend Suzanne Gervais. Suzanne launched her final book in the Jack series, Being Jack, last night at the Monkey Bar Theatre. It was a wonderful night. The I Am Jack series deals with bullying in schools while remaining accessible and entertaining for young readers. You can find out more about the I Am Jack series on Suzanne's website. Welcome back. It's time to introduce today's guest. Jackie Hosking is a children's writer and poet. Her poetry has appeared all over the world, with many being published by the School magazine put out by the New South Wales Department of Education. Her picture book, The Crock and the Platypus, illustrated by Marjorie Crosby Ferrell, was published in July this year by Walker Books Australia, and Jackie is the editor of Pass It On, a networking e-zine for children's book industry, the book industry, and she also runs her own rhyming manuscript editing service for adults that rhyme for children. Jackie Hosking, welcome to the Author's Shelf.
Thanks, Georgie. Thanks for having me.
Jackie, I always begin by asking my guests what is their story, so please tell us, what is the Jackie Hosking story?
Well, most people don't know this, but I was actually born in Nigeria. My dad was on assignment over there. He was running a tin mine. We're from Cornwall originally, so I call myself a Nigerian-born Cornish Australian. We came out to Australia when I was 10 years old and lived in Ballarat. That's where I went to school. And after I finished Year 12, I went to Melbourne and did lots of various jobs and went to uni on and off and ended up finishing my Bachelor of Applied Science when I was about 30. And I had a couple of kids and I got divorced, and then I ended up meeting my husband, who I'm with now, and we moved down to Anglesey, and we've now got a nearly 14-year-old together, and that's when I started writing, when I came to Anglesey.
That's an interesting story. Tell us, why did you want to be a writer?
Well, it was an interesting question, that I thought, because it was never something I thought of consciously, why do I want to be one? I actually just was one. I used to write journals and things all the time. I was actually studying to go back. I wanted to go back to uni and possibly do psychology. But all the way through studying my psychology, I was writing journals about this and that and poetry and things. And there was one night where I was with my sister. I just kept pulling out all these journals. I'm reading things to her, and she's just stopped in the middle of it all and gone, "Oh my God, Jackie, you're a writer." It's quite a shock.
Now, you use rhyme in your writing. What is the appeal of writing in rhyme? I know publishers generally say avoid rhyme when writing. It's very hard to master and not popular, but lots of books have rhyme in it. And Jackie, you're the proof that it's not always the case. What advice do you have for someone who wants to write rhyming picture books?
The thing is, it's not actually the rhyme that's difficult. Everybody can write rhyme. We know what rhyming words are. But when we write in rhyme, it's expected that it's written in a rhythm with metre. And that can be tricky for some people to understand, because when you write and you've got a rhythm in your head, you can kind of force words to fit your metre rather than it be the other way round. You find words that need to fit the metre. And helping people to understand exactly what metre is can be tricky. And I think, too, for publishers, it's very difficult to translate metre when you sell books overseas, even selling English books to America, for example, because they might put a stress in a different place, like we say paprika, and the Americans say paprika. So if you can hear the difference there. They would rhyme with different words.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. All right, you've just had your first picture book published, and I'm going to ask you about that journey in just a minute, but tell us a little bit about The Crock and the Platypus.
Well, The Crock and the Platypus are two friends that hop in an old rusty ute and trundle across Australia and for a little camping adventure. They need something desperately and end up finding it, so that's good. I don't know, it's just a fun, joyful story, and it's, as you know, based on the Owl and Pussycat, which I was read to as a child by my grandmother in Cornwall. So I've always loved that story and really wanted to try and put together an Australian version, again, copying to the exact every syllable, really, the rhyme and meter of the Owl and the Pussycat. I wanted to see if I could do that, you know, the best that I could do, and yeah, it turned out I could.
You've done a great job, and we've got a copy of The Crock and the Platypus to give away later in the show. I'm Georgie Donaghy, and you're listening to The Author's Shelf. My guest today is Jackie Hosking. Jackie, I touched on it before we had the last song, and I've heard the story about the publication of The Crock and the Platypus with Walker Books. I actually reported on the session for the recent Squibby conference, which you can read all about on the Creative Kids Tales website. Please tell us, Jackie, the process of bringing The Crock and the Platypus to life.
Okay, well, I wrote the first draft in early 2011, and I sent it off to Walker in May of that year, and so it got published in July 2014, so you can see there was a long time there in the wait. I've actually written a timeline out that I brought to the Squibby conference when we were talking about that. It was interesting to kind of go back over the emails and see exactly what it was that that happened to bring the book to life. But the whole process was really quite lovely, even though it was long. It was all very positive, and so it's kind of tricky to try to remember exactly what happened. But after the first submission, obviously, I would wait quite a few months before I would email and say, hello, any news, and no news is good news, I think, in the publishing industry, so you don't want to be sort of pushing too much. But in the middle of all that happening, I actually won a Morris Saxby mentorship, which in a way was good for me because I was able then to contact Walker and say, look, would it be all right if I put this manuscript in, as part of the mentorship? I understand, you don't want everybody looking at it if you're still considering it. But they sort of left that up to me, and I thought, I don't know, maybe I won't. I won't put it in. I don't want to, I don't want to be stepping on toes and things. So I did actually withdraw it. But, life being life, that email didn't get through, and that Crock and the Platypus did end up being presented as one of the mentorship manuscripts for me to work on. But thank God it did, really, because I ended up changing the last verse quite a lot, and I think improved the whole story. And so after the mentorship, then I was able to go back to Walker and say, look, I've actually got a better version now. Well, I'd love to be able to send that to you first, show that to you if you're still keen. And they were still keen. And it wasn't much longer after that then that I got the acceptance. So that was all quite good, really.
And I know there was lots of squeals and lots of tears in between that.
Yes, I know. I'm a bit emotional.
All right. Now, how many people were involved in the process of printing your picture book? What's the whole crew? Yeah,
I don't really, to be honest, there's probably lots that I don't know about, but Sue Whiting was my first port of call. So she's the publishing manager at Walker. Mm-hmm. And then I had my editor, Mary Verney, and, of course, Marjorie Crosby Farrell was the illustrator. All the other team members I've met sort of briefly, so I don't really remember all their names, to be honest, but there probably would have been, I reckon, at least half a dozen people involved, yeah.
And I've got the picture book in front of me. I've read the picture book and it's absolutely gorgeous. And you're just sailing on a high at the moment, aren't you, Jackie? It's wonderful.
I know. It's really, really good.
How did you celebrate when you received that call?
Oh, champagne, definitely.
Lots of screaming and lots of tears. So there was lots of screaming and lots of tears.
Lots of phone calls to people. Yeah, I think I might have drunk a whole bottle of champagne in 10 minutes.
Wow. Okay. All right. Welcome back. You're listening to The Author's Shelf. I'm joined this afternoon by Jackie Hosking. Jackie, Marjorie Crosby Farrell is the illustrator and she's captured these characters beautifully in her illustrations. Did you have much input with the illustrating process?
I was definitely given the opportunity to, so I was shown lots of proofs right all the way through, but I mean, just looking at them, I just knew I was in good hands, so I didn't actually make any comment, I think, at all, except for, again, more crying and squealing.
They are absolutely beautiful. Now, so what year did you say you first submitted it to Walker Books? Let's just skip my mind.
Yeah, 2011 was when I first put it in the middle of 2011, and I got the formal offer in June of 2012.
Right.
And then it was 2 years after that the book.
Before you got the book at your front door.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now, how has The Crock and the Platypus been received?
Well, it sold out in less than a month, so pretty well.
That's amazing. Yeah. How many books did they do in the first print
I think
run?
it was 3,000.
Wow.
yeah. So that they're now being reprinted, which that's good. Yeah.
That's huge. Now, they're doing a reprint now?
Yeah, yeah.
And how many are they doing the reprint for?
I don't know. I haven't asked that question.
So do you actually get to find out how, obviously sales are doing really, really well with 3,000 already gone, but do you find out how, do you see any statistics or any figures or anything?
I probably will, possibly when royalties arrive next year. I think I'm not sure how that works, to be honest. So that's all new to me as well. So, yeah, I guess you'll see on that form what the story is.
And we've just finished Book Week last week.
Yeah.
How did you go with Book Week?
Well, it was quietish for me because I sort of have been spinning on just the fact that I've had this book out there. It's like, now what do I do? Sort of thing. But I did do a couple of school visits just before Book Week, and they were really fun. And I've got some coming up next week. So yeah, I've really enjoyed that side of it, going into the schools. And the kids that age group are so gorgeous.
What have you done? Library chats or anything yet, or is it just the schools?
Yeah, I've only done schools so far. Yeah, I've got a library thing coming up in November.
And what age group have you presented to at the schools? Do you know?
I've done preps 1s and 2s and 3s on a separate occasion. So I had a big group of preps 1s and 2s, and they were quite hilarious. I got them up marching, trying to teach them about rhythm and metre was funny.
That would have been, yes.
Marching and waltzing about the room. And the one coming up next week is I'm presenting to the whole school because that's when they're doing their Book Week parade. And, so we'll just be chatting about the book and reading the story and, yeah, hopefully doing some colouring in and things like that.
Now, I understand that to go along with the Crock and the Platypus, Walker Books created a beautiful little plush crocodile, which I was lucky enough to actually win at the Squibby conference, which was wonderful.
Right, yes.
Tell me that's kind of a special thing.
No, I was so shocked because I wasn't really given any, forewarning. I just got some photographs of, what do you think of this and what do you think of that? And I'm thinking, what? I love them. I don't care. I love them. I love them all. So, yeah, no, that was a real surprise. Absolutely fantastic.
And how can we get a copy of the Crock and the Platypus, sorry?
Well, all good bookshops. I think you can buy them. There's a lot of online bookshops too. We've actually got a website for the Crock and the Platypus now.
Well, tell us what it is.
Yes, that's www.thecrockandtheplatypus.com. And we've got a list of online bookstores you can purchase it at, and there's also a bookstore search click button there on the right, so you can find your closest bookshop.
Very good.
And, yeah.
Now, can you purchase the little crocodile, or is that?
I'm pretty sure that's still going. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
Not
so
100%, but yeah, I think so.
Everyone get in quick. Go and flood that website.
The kids do love it. I mean, I've had so much feedback how they just take this crock about with them wherever they go.
Yeah.
It's really gorgeous.
It's excellent. You're listening to The Author's Shelf on 2SR. I'm joined by Jackie Hosking this afternoon. Jackie, do you think having poems and short stories in publications such as School Magazine helped you reach publication with a mainstream publisher?
Yeah, I reckon it did. Not necessarily because of the actual publications that I've been published in, but I think if you are constantly submitting to competitions or to other publications, it means you're working on your craft all the time. So just because you've got a lot of stuff published in other publications won't necessarily guarantee that you'll get with a book publisher necessarily, but I just think it shows that you're being professional about your craft.
All right. Now tell me, I'm going to ask you, getting down to the nitty-gritty now, what's your writing routine?
I don't really have one.
Come on, Jackie, give me something. Have you got a computer, pen, paper?
I don't use pen and paper very often. No, I don't. In fact, we can't even find them in the house. So definitely if I'm writing, I sit down at the computer to write.
Okay.
But a lot of my drafting I do when I'm walking.
Right.
A lot of my stuff is very short, so I'm able to, and I love walking at the back of my place. It's beautiful right through the bush there. So a lot of my stuff is done in my head. But if I come up with something, I think I need to be able to remember that. I will use the phone to record. You can press record. I don't know how to use the phone properly, so I just press the record button, and sometimes the result is quite hilarious. I don't know if it's my still slight English accent, but there seems to be a lot of swearing comes out when I bring it back up again. I'm thinking, I didn't say that.
All right. Now, I asked Andy Griffiths last week. Is he a plotter or a pantster? Now, do you know the difference between plotter and pantster?
Is that what, by the seat of your pants sort of
yes.
thing?
Pantster, a plotter is you sit down, or you don't have to sit down, you can stand up. You make lots of notes and you plot your story out from beginning to end before you actually start writing it. Or pantster is you just sit down and just nut it out.
I'm actually a big believer of knowing what your ending is, to know the end and to find a clever way to get to the end. So I guess it's a little bit plotty, isn't it? Yeah.
So you are a plotter then, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now tell us, what's one word that sums you up?
You know what? That's such a hard question, I reckon. Self-conscious was the first thing I put down.
Okay.
But I've been told that I'm quite funny, but I think somebody is funny often to cover up the fact that they're quite shy. So, no.
Could be. Okay. All right. Well, there's a few there. All right. All right. Tell us, what's the best writing tip that you've been given?
I've read Stephen King's On Writing. That's a really good book that gives you just an overall feeling that whatever you do is okay. You don't have to have a whopping, vocabulary. Whatever you do, whatever your voice is, whatever's true to you is do that. So do what you love and what's true to you, and don't worry about comparing yourself to others or, all that. It's about being unique and true to yourself. I think that was very freeing when I read that. I felt, I wasn't constricted anymore.
Okay. Jackie, we chatted before that quick break about entering competitions and things like that. How important is it to get your name out there when trying to get published? So not also competitions, but creating an online presence and things like that.
Yeah, I think it is important. I think it's important because, it's like with any job really. Often you'll get a job because you've been recommended by someone who's known you before. So I think if you can be somebody goes, oh yes, I've met Jackie, she was at a conference or something, she's lovely, or she's very easy to work with, or if you've got a difficult personality, I think that can, have the detrimental effect as well. Can fly around, because the industry is actually very small in Australia particularly. So I think, making sure that your online presence is, with a good reputation, that you're helpful, you're easy to work with, you're, all that sort of thing. So, yeah, definitely thinking of yourself as a product, I guess, as well, and making sure that you're just putting the best of yourself out there.
What are some of the ways that emerging authors can do that?
Well, the very first thing I did when I started writing, I actually did a creative writing course at my local community house. So it's really good to start grassroots level, I think, if you can. If you can't get into big things in the city or do things online. But I joined my local writers' centre, so the Victorian Writers' Centre there at the time. I think they've changed their name now. So I think all states have those. So they've got newsletters and things. And then when I realised it was more children's writing I wanted to get into, I joined the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, which is a international group. It's like a club that we can all belong to. And Schwibby was the conference that they did up in Sydney. They do that every 2 years that, you and I both went to, and that's just a fantastic opportunity to actually meet face to face with everybody and learn to the protocol. I think that's another thing. It's sort of, very new writers sometimes really, we have the stories of publishers that have been harassed in the toilets, which is
yes.
No, you don't do that.
I actually heard one story of a publisher being presented a manuscript idea at a funeral.
Oh, no, yeah. So you sort of learn the do's and don'ts,
yes.
don't you, go into things like that?
I know.
For sure, yeah. So there's the Children's Book Council. They're involved with all the awards that have just come out, and Book Week and all that sort of thing. So it's just, I think, being involved with like-minded people is really, really helpful, for sure.
So attending conferences and festivals as well as online things, it's all about getting your name out there, getting your face out there.
Making friends, really, making friends with people.
Absolutely, and networking. So when you do have your manuscript come across a publisher's desk, they know who you are.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Do you belong to any writing groups now?
Not really, not actual groups that like I used to. When I first started up, I was on an online group. That's actually where I met Sue Whiting. So you just don't know. Years ago, this was before she was even working for Walker. She was an author, and we were on a similar group together. So I think that's probably helped, the fact that I'd met her and I'd known her, and I've known her for years. So she was able to trust me. That sort of thing, but I don't actually join. I belong to Schwibby now, and they do local things in Melbourne, and I can get to them when I can. Some regional, but not. I don't have any sort of where we read each other's stories.
Okay.
I'm not doing that so much now. No.
Okay. You're listening to The Author's Shelf. Jackie, tell us all about Pass It On.
Well, Pass It On is my other hat. This is a networking e-zine for people interested in the children's book industry. It's a weekly e-zine that comes into your inbox every Monday and pretty much just lets you know what's going on, pretty much like you do with your website as well, what's going on in the children's writing industry. So any competitions, any call-outs by publishers, lots of events, special events, festivals, conferences, anything at all really of interest to people that are involved with the children's book writing industry.
Now, if somebody wanted to join Pass It On, how would they go about that?
They could email me is the best way, actually. So my email address is my name, so Jackie, all small letters, Jackie Hosking, JackieHosking, at bigpond.com.
And how much is Pass It On per year?
It's $44 a year, and I do about 48 issues. I take a bit of a break over summer, so it ends up being less than $1 an issue. Which
is absolute bargain. All right, Jackie, I want you to put your other hat on now. Tell us about your editing service.
Well, that's right. I do that as well, and I'm very specific about what I edit. I only, of course, like to edit rhyme and metre, and I only like to really do rhyme and metre for children, so stories and poetry and verse stories, picture books, anything that rhymes. I like to edit and help people understand that tricky thing called metre that sometimes gets us all a bit mixed up. And same thing, just email me if you have something that you'd like to be edited. And I charge $40 an hour for that service, and I'll do it in hour increments. So I'll do an hour, then I'll show you what I've done. So you can, if you understand what I'm showing you and want to have a go with the rest of it yourself, you can go away and do that. And I also offer a booklet that I've written called Rhyme Like the Experts. It's only $5 if you use the editing service. So if you've done an hour with me and take away that book, there's a good chance you'll be able to work on the rest of the manuscript yourself. So
excellent.
It's quite good value, yeah.
I might just need to slip something across your desk under your rhyming eye, I think. I've got something that I need a bit of a hand with. Awesome. Anyway, yeah. You're listening to The Author's Shelf on 2SR 99.7 FM, Sound of the Sutherland Shire. Are you an emerging author or illustrator? Are you serious about taking that next step on your creative journey? Why not visit creativekidstales.com.au? There you can have a full author or illustrator profile, including displaying your work, networking with others. You'll also find useful tools such as a comprehensive publishers listing, writing tips, competition information, author interviews, book reviews, and loads more. Visit the Creative Kids Tales website today. What are you waiting for? creativekidstales.com.au. Now, for more information about today's giveaways, pop over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Author's Shelf. Jackie Hosking, thanks for joining me this afternoon. What's coming up for you next?
Well, another picture book would be lovely, wouldn't it? So I'll just put that out there.
Okay.
Anyone listening? That. Lots of poetry, though. I'm always writing poetry, so that won't stop.
Do you actually have anything in the on the publishers' desks at the moment?
Yes, lots of things are out there. So send them happy thoughts.
Okay, we will. We'll send out those positive vibes right now.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me. Congratulations on The Crock and the Platypus. It's an absolutely gorgeous picture book. Now, if you'd like to find out more about Jackie, visit her blog, JackieHoskingBlog.wordpress.com, or to find out more about Pass It On, visit JackieHoskingPio.wordpress.com. That's all for this edition of The Author's Shelf. Jackie, thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
As I said, good luck with the reprint and hopefully more and more reprints of The Crock and the Platypus. That would be awesome, yeah. And with those other things out there on the publisher's desk too.
Thanks, Georgie.
All right, on my next show, I'll be chatting with children's author Wendy Orr. Until